You've probably felt it more than once, that life is dragging you along like a relentless current, pulling you into an ocean of unfinished tasks, endless distractions, and promises you keep breaking to yourself. Maybe today, you tell yourself that tomorrow will be different, but another tomorrow comes, and everything stays the same. You convince yourself that you need more motivation, more drive, more clarity. But the brutal truth is this: you don't lack motivation, you lack control. You don't lack desire, you lack a system. You don't lack potential, you lack mental order. And without mental order, your life cannot follow. We live trapped in an invisible cage, forged from automatic habits that bind us without us even realizing. Elaborate excuses, often disguised as logic. A culture that sells us comfort as a reward when in reality, it's the perfect trap. We've been domesticated to survive, not to conquer. We've been taught to accept inertia as if it were life. But there's an uncomfortable truth no one tells us. All growth demands chaos. There is no transformation without discomfort, no success without friction. This isn't about trying harder. It's about designing a system that turns effort into results. A system where order isn't a burden but a weapon. Hey, look around you. Clothes piled on a chair. Emails left unanswered. A to-do list that never gets shorter. These aren't just details. They're symptoms. Symptoms of a scattered, fragmented mind drowning in noise and lacking direction. A mind without structure creates a life full of emergencies that smother what really matters. This book isn't a manual on folding laundry or a checklist of endless chores. It's a manifesto, a fist on the table against procrastination and mental chaos. Here, you'll learn to hack your own brain, to silence procrastination at its root, and to build a life that works in your favor. Not with fleeting motivation, but with relentless strategies that turn order into your greatest advantage. This isn't just another self-help book packed with hollow promises. I won't tell you that everything gets better if you just think positive. This book is a war manual, a war against mediocrity, against inertia, against that voice in your head that whispers, "I'll start tomorrow." Here you'll learn to structure your time, take back control, and become the architect of your own destiny. The question isn't whether you're capable, you are. The real question is, are you willing to break out of the cage? Chapter 1: Invisible Labyrinths, Storms No One Sees. For years, my mind was a mess, like a room where you throw things without thinking, believing that someday you'll put them in their place. But that day never comes. A chaotic mind is a mirror of a chaotic life, and a chaotic life is a hell disguised as normality. I remember a dawn when my head felt like a storm, shapeless ideas, unsolvable worries, unanswered questions. I sat down with a notebook and, without thinking, began to write. I poured out everything that was tormenting me, line after line, without stopping. It was like opening a floodgate. When I finished, something inside me had calmed. That night I understood something. Chaos doesn't disappear on its own. You have to face it. Order is not a coincidence. It's a choice. It doesn't arrive when life falls into place. It arrives when you decide to bring life into place. It's not a prize given to those who wait, but a weapon forged by those who dare to take control. Maybe you too have felt that constant sensation of being busy without moving forward, as if life had become a series of repetitive days, where every night you promise yourself that tomorrow will be different, only to wake up and find yourself trapped in the same inertia. There's something you want to achieve, a change you know you need to make, but some invisible force keeps you stuck. You postpone, you get distracted, you try to move forward, but the fog of mental clutter covers everything. You're not alone. Thousands of people live this way, feeling that their life is a pile of unfinished tasks and broken promises. Productivity has become an unreachable myth, and guilt is a shadow following us at every step. We convince ourselves that what we lack is motivation, discipline, or luck. But the truth is different. It's not a lack of talent, intelligence, or desire. It's a lack of order. Mental disorder is like a computer with too many tabs open. At first, everything seems to work, but little by little the system slows down, responses become slower, and at some point, everything crashes. And the worst part is that most people don't even realize they're caught in this spiral. They've grown so used to the noise, the chaos, the constant feeling of being busy without progress that they've normalized exhaustion. Think about it. How many times have you felt paralyzed by a simple decision? How many times have you caught yourself wasting hours on useless distractions while what really matters keeps waiting? How many times have you started a habit with enthusiasm only to abandon it a few days later? This isn't a new story. Even the brightest minds have fallen into the trap of mental chaos. There's a fascinating story about Charles Dickens, the great novelist. For years, despite his enormous success, he found himself stuck in a cycle of procrastination and anxiety. His days passed in endless coffee breaks, aimless walks, and excuses to avoid writing. His talent was unquestionable, but his mind was so disordered he couldn't sit down to work. Until he discovered something. The key wasn't waiting for inspiration, but creating a structure that allowed him to write without depending on motivation. And so he did. He forced himself to write at the same time every day, in the same place with the same ritual. He eliminated all distractions, established unbreakable rules, and little by little, his literary output skyrocketed. Dickens didn't need more talent, more energy, or more hours in the day. The only thing he needed was order. This is the central problem of mental chaos. It makes us believe the problem is us. It convinces us we're not disciplined enough, not motivated enough, not good enough. But that's not true. What we lack is not ability, but clarity. The modern world has made mental disorder the norm. Never in history have we been exposed to so much noise, endless information, constant notifications, social media designed to capture our attention, endless tasks, worries that keep us on high alert. Our mind is like a room where hundreds of objects have been thrown without logic or order, and then we're asked to find what we need in the middle of that mess. This is no accident. Giant companies have spent millions studying how to hijack our attention, how to keep us distracted, fragmented, and dependent on constant stimuli. Every time you unlock your phone to check a notification, every time you jump from one task to another without finishing, every time you open an app just to see what's new, you're reinforcing the habit of mental chaos. And the cost of this is enormous. It doesn't just affect our productivity, it erodes our self-esteem, our inner peace, and our ability to enjoy the present. When the mind is saturated, we make worse decisions. We struggle to prioritize, we feel constantly drained, and worst of all, we believe this is the only way to live. But it's not. And here's the good news. Just as we've been trained to live in chaos, we can train ourselves to escape it. It all begins with a simple yet powerful principle. You cannot bring order to your life until you bring order to your mind. Look around you. Your physical space is a reflection of your mental state. If your desk is piled with papers, your inbox overflowing with unread emails, your calendar packed with irrelevant commitments, chances are your mind is functioning the same way. And this is no coincidence. Studies have shown that external clutter affects mental clarity. A study conducted at Princeton University found that disorganized environments overload the brain, making it harder to concentrate and increasing stress levels. The mind becomes overwhelmed by visual input and less efficient at processing what really matters. But that doesn't mean the solution is simply tidying your room or clearing your desk. It's not enough to organize the external if the internal remains chaotic. Real transformation happens when we train the mind to operate more clearly, more structurally, and with more focus. The mind is a muscle, and like any muscle, it requires training. It must learn to filter out noise, to prioritize the essential, to make swift decisions, and to avoid the traps of distraction. This is what separates people who achieve extraordinary things from those who remain trapped in mediocrity. It's not intelligence. It's not luck. It's the ability to organize their mind and execute without distraction. Think of someone you admire, a successful entrepreneur, a gifted artist, an elite athlete. It doesn't matter what field they're in. They all share something in common: clear routines, defined priorities, and a mind trained for focus. This is the key point. While most people are caught in a cycle of urgency and distraction, successful people have learned to design their mental and physical environment to maximize clarity and productivity. And this is where the change begins. If you've lived in mental chaos until now, it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. No matter how disorganized your mind is today, you can train it to function in a completely different way. It all starts with one decision: to stop being a victim of chaos and start taking control. In the second part of this chapter, we'll explore concrete strategies to start deprogramming mental clutter and building a solid structure that allows you to move forward without getting stuck in procrastination and noise. Because getting out of chaos is not about waiting for things to get better on their own. It's about training the mind to operate with order, focus, and clarity. Chaos is not the mind's natural state. It's just a habit, and habits can be changed. Escaping mental chaos is not an instant process, but it's not a mysterious one either. You don't need a magic formula. You just need to understand how your mind works and begin to install a new operating system. Most people try to change their lives through willpower, but willpower is a limited resource. It works for a while, but when fatigue and distractions show up, we go back to old patterns. That's why the key isn't just wanting to change. It's reprogramming the mind so that change becomes inevitable. One of the most powerful ways to do this is to eliminate mental noise. Our brain has a limited attention capacity. If we constantly feed it irrelevant information, unnecessary worries, and distractions, we leave no room for what matters. Look at what Steve Jobs did. He was famous for wearing the same thing every day: black turtleneck, jeans, and sneakers. Not because he couldn't afford more clothes, but because he understood that every decision we make consumes mental energy. By reducing small decisions, he freed his mind to focus on what really mattered. You don't have to dress the same every day, but ask yourself, how many unnecessary decisions are draining your mental energy every day? The same goes for the space where you live and work. How many times have you struggled to concentrate because there was too much going on around you? A study from the University of California showed that when our surroundings are cluttered, the brain slows down and we feel more fatigued. It's not just about aesthetics. It's a reflection of how the mind works. The first step to organizing your mind is eliminating the unnecessary. This doesn't mean becoming an extreme minimalist, but it does mean removing the noise that adds nothing. Try this experiment. Before going to bed, write down 3 things that drained your attention today but didn't add any value to your life. Maybe it was a meaningless argument, time lost on social media, or a repetitive thought that solved nothing. Become aware of it. You'll see that much of your exhaustion doesn't come from real effort, but from the endless stream of useless information your mind processes without rest. Another major enemy of mental order is multitasking. We've been led to believe that doing many things at once is a sign of productivity, but the opposite is true. A study by Stanford's Neuroscience Institute found that people who multitask are actually less productive and struggle more to concentrate on just one thing. When you try to do several things at once, your brain doesn't work faster. It constantly switches between tasks, which causes mental fatigue. It's like trying to read a book while someone's talking to you non-stop. Your mind can't process both stimuli at once, and you end up absorbing neither. The solution is simple, yet radical. Learn to do one thing at a time. If you're reading, just read. If you're writing, just write. If you're in a conversation, put down your phone and be fully present. The quality of your attention defines the quality of your life. A simple trick to train your focus is the timer method. Set a timer for 20 minutes and choose a single task. During those 20 minutes, allow no distractions. Don't check your phone. Don't jump to another activity. Just focus. When the timer goes off, take a short break and repeat the process. You'll find you get more done in an hour than you usually do in 3. But beyond productivity, there's something deeper. Mental chaos doesn't just impact your performance, it sabotages your inner peace. Think about the times you felt anxious for no clear reason. Often, it's not because something bad is happening, but because our mind is trapped in a whirlwind of unfinished thoughts. We worry about things that haven't happened yet. We relive past mistakes. We jump from one idea to another without resolution. To break this cycle, it's essential to learn how to empty the mind. Just as we clean our physical space, we must also clean our mental space from time to time. Here's a powerful exercise. Each night before bed, do a mental dump. Take a notebook and write down everything circling your mind. Worries, to-dos, stray thoughts, things you can't solve right now. No need to structure it. Just get it out of your head and onto the page. This sends a signal to your brain that it no longer needs to replay those ideas. They're safe elsewhere. The relief you'll feel from this one habit is incredible. Another key aspect of mental chaos is the lack of clarity in our goals. Many times we feel stuck not because we lack dreams, but because we haven't defined them clearly enough. The difference between someone who achieves their goals and someone who doesn't isn't desire, it's strategy. If your goal is to be more productive or to be successful, that's not a real goal. It's too abstract. But if you define your goal precisely, like get up at 6 a.m. every day to write for 1 hour, progress becomes tangible. A simple rule for setting effective goals is the rule of the next step. Don't obsess over the final result. Just ask yourself, what is the next concrete step I can take today? If you want to write a book, the next step might be writing a single page. If you want to improve your health, the next step might be taking a 20-minute walk. Small actions repeated over time create massive results. And here lies the great revelation. Mental order is not a talent you're born with. It's a skill you develop. Think about the most successful people in the world. They're not geniuses who work non-stop. They're individuals who have learned to simplify their focus. They surround themselves with what's essential, eliminate what doesn't serve them, train their mind to resist distractions and build habits that reinforce clarity. Mental chaos is an invisible cage. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of stress, procrastination, and distraction. But the door to that cage has never been locked. Getting out doesn't require special talent or infinite willpower. It only requires a decision, the decision to no longer live that way. The first step is to become aware of how much unnecessary noise you consume. Then, begin to eliminate it. Design a system that protects your focus. Define with clarity what truly matters. And above all, remember this. When you organize your mind, you organize your life. Because in the end, true freedom doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right things with a clear and focused mind. Chapter 2. Chains We Don't Feel. Many people fail at building habits not because they don't want to change, but because they underestimate the power of repetition. They believe success comes through massive overnight transformations, but the truth is that small actions, repeated consistently, are what shape a person's destiny. Every area of your life reflects the habits you've cultivated over time: health, finances, productivity, relationships. Nothing falls apart in a single day. It's the accumulation of small decisions: skipping a workout, spending on something unnecessary, delaying an important task. In the same way, the only path out of chaos is by stacking small right decisions each day until they become part of who you are. From the moment you open your eyes in the morning, you've already made a decision. Maybe, without realizing it, you chose to hit snooze, to check your phone before even getting out of bed, to drink coffee instead of water. Every small action, however insignificant it may seem, is shaping your future. We like to believe that success is the product of big decisions, but reality shows that life is built in the details we repeat daily. If you feel stuck in a cycle of stagnation, if no matter how hard you try you can't move forward, the problem isn't what you dream or desire, it's what you repeat without noticing. Imagine being in a dark room trying to find the exit. You have a flashlight in your hand, but instead of turning it on, you decide to feel your way along the walls. You advance a little, hit an obstacle, step back, and try a different direction. Days, months, years pass, and you're still in the same room. It's not that you can't get out, it's that you haven't decided to turn on the light. That's how most people live, trapped in invisible patterns they repeat over and over without questioning. They say they want to change, but keep doing the same things. They expect different results without changing their system. And the worst part is, they don't even realize that their own mind is the cage keeping them locked inside. Every habit is like a seed planted in the mind. Some grow into discipline and progress, others into procrastination and chaos. The difference between a structured life and a frustrated one isn't luck or intelligence. It's the accumulation of repeated decisions over time. Look at any area of your life: your health, your relationships, your finances, your mental state. Everything is a reflection of what you've consistently done in recent months or years. No one becomes successful overnight, just like no one ruins their life in a single day. It's a process, and like any process, it can either be designed or left to chance. Michael Phelps, the most decorated swimmer in history, didn't reach greatness because of raw talent. From age 13, his coach imposed a relentless system. Every day, without exception, he trained at the same time, ate the same food, practiced the same movements, visualized every race down to the smallest detail. While others waited for motivation, he executed his system, and that system made him a legend. The problem is, most people build their habits unconsciously. They don't decide what kind of identity they want to develop. Instead, they let their environment and their comfort shape their actions. It's not that they can't change, it's that they've never designed a system to make change inevitable. If I told you there was a foolproof formula to change any area of your life, would you use it? It might sound like an exaggeration, but in truth, it's the foundation of any real transformation. The principle is simple. Don't focus on the goal, focus on the system. Most people fail because they think about the final result instead of the process that will take them there. They say they want to lose weight, but they don't set up a sustainable eating and exercise system. They say they want to be more productive, but they don't design a distraction-free environment. They say they want to read more, but they don't create the habit of opening a book every day. The goal is the destination, the system is the path, and without a clear path, any destination is unreachable. Now, the key to making habits a natural part of your life is the principle of identity. It's not about acting disciplined for a few days. It's about becoming the kind of person who effortlessly does the right thing. If you have to convince yourself every time you want to work out, you're fighting an unnecessary battle. But if you begin to see yourself as an active person, exercise becomes a natural part of who you are. If you identify as someone organized, organization becomes a reflection of your identity, not a task you have to remember. This is the real secret to lasting change. Instead of forcing yourself to do something, make it part of your essence. It's not about saying, "I'll try to be more disciplined," but rather affirming, "I am a disciplined person." Not, "I'll try to get organized," but "I am an organized person." When you change the way you see yourself, the right habits fall into place naturally. You don't need willpower to act in alignment with your identity. You simply do it because it's who you are. But here's where most people fail. They try to change everything overnight. They promise themselves that starting tomorrow, they'll be a new person. They'll eat healthy, wake up early, and work with laser focus. And maybe they manage it for a few days, but then life hits back with routine and everything collapses. The trick is to start so small it's impossible to fail. If you want to exercise, don't begin with an extreme routine. Start with 5 minutes a day. If you want to read more, start with 1 page. If you want to write a book, start with 1 paragraph. What matters is that the habit takes root before trying to expand it. Habits don't work because you do them perfectly. They work because you do them consistently. And the safest way to keep a habit going is to reduce friction to the minimum. Another crucial point in habit building is the influence of your environment. If you need willpower to do the right thing, you're fighting an uphill battle. The key is to design an environment where doing the right thing is the easiest option. If you want to eat healthy, remove junk food from your home. If you want to be more productive, keep your phone away from your desk. If you want to wake up early, place your alarm where you have to physically get up to turn it off. People who seem to have exceptional discipline have simply designed systems where discipline isn't necessary. They've removed negotiation. They've automated their success. Because real power doesn't come from wishing for change. It comes from building a system that makes change inevitable. Every decision you make today is building the destiny you'll live in tomorrow. The issue for most people isn't that they don't know what to do. It's that they haven't developed the habit of doing it without thinking. Look at Stephen King. He writes every day without fail. He doesn't wait to feel inspired or motivated. He sits down and writes. Not because he has superhuman willpower, but because he built a system where writing is inevitable. Elite athletes don't train only when they feel like it. They do it because they've removed negotiation from the equation. They don't ask themselves if they're going to train. They just train. There's no space for doubt or procrastination. If every time you consider working out you have to decide whether to do it or not, the battle is lost before it begins. But if training is scheduled as a non-negotiable appointment in your day, it becomes part of your routine, and resistance disappears. This is where a crucial concept comes in, the no-zero rule. Don't let a single day pass without doing something, however small, that contributes to your progress. If you decide to work out but can't do an hour one day, do 5 minutes. If you commit to writing but can't write 1,000 words, write a single line. If you want to read more but your day escapes you, open the book and read 1 page. Whatever it is, just never allow a blank day. What truly destroys progress isn't failing once. It's stringing together several days without action. The problem isn't failing one day. It's letting that failure become the new routine. If you fail one day, do the minimum the next. The important thing is never to break the chain of action. The difference between those who achieve success and those who stay stuck in mediocrity is the ability to act regardless of how they feel. The world isn't designed to make you more disciplined. It's designed to distract you. Everything is built to steal your attention, to sabotage your focus, to keep you in an endless cycle of procrastination. If you don't take control of your habits, someone else will do it for you. That's why you can't leave your destiny in the hands of motivation. You can't trust that you'll always feel like doing the right thing. You have to structure your life in a way that doing the right thing becomes the easiest option. If you want to build solid habits, find ways to make them rewarding in the present. Good habits usually offer long-term rewards. Eating healthy won't transform you today, but over time, it reshapes your health. Saving money won't make you rich overnight, but it will give you stability in the future. On the other hand, bad habits offer immediate pleasure. Junk food tastes great in the moment. Scrolling through social media is entertaining. Procrastination relieves the temporary discomfort of doing something hard. That's why, if you want a good habit to stick, you need to associate it with a positive emotion. Instead of viewing exercise as an obligation, connect it with the energy and mental clarity it gives you. Instead of seeing reading as a chore, link it to the feeling of growth and discovery. Your brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Use that programming in your favor. Turn each repetition into a small victory. Celebrate the process, not just the outcome. Habits cannot be forced into your life. They must integrate naturally. It's not about doing different things for a while. It's about becoming a different kind of person for good. And it all starts with a decision. You can keep negotiating with your excuses, or you can build a structure where progress becomes inevitable. You don't need to make huge changes right away. You just need to start with something. One habit, one step, one decision. Because at the end of the day, we are not what we say we're going to do. We are what we repeat every single day. And that's the real key to transforming your life. Chapter 3. Time only remembers those who master it. There's no doubt that discipline is the bridge between goals and achievements, the force that turns dreams into reality. And to illustrate it, let's go back in time and recall one of the most iconic stories of effort and perseverance. In the 1970s, a young man with messy hair and an intense gaze was attending classes at Reed College, even though he was no longer officially a student. He had no money, slept on the floors of his friends' dorm rooms, and walked miles to get free meals at a Hare Krishna temple. That young man, Steve Jobs, did not have an easy life or any guarantees of success. But he had something most people never develop: unwavering discipline toward what he believed mattered most. While others accepted the conventional structure of life without question, he spent hours absorbing knowledge that no one else valued at the time. He became obsessed with typography, design aesthetics, and the belief that technology should be as beautiful as it was functional. There was no immediate purpose, no promise of success or money on the horizon, just a deep conviction that every small detail mattered. Years later, when he founded Apple in the garage of his adoptive parents' home, that same discipline marked the difference between just another business and a technological revolution. While other manufacturers focused only on power, he demanded perfection in every curve, every pixel, every interaction between the user and the machine. And when he was fired from the very company he had created, he didn't quit. He founded Next, bought Pixar, and continued with the same obsession for excellence. When Apple took him back, he didn't just return. He transformed the company into the global giant that changed the world. Steve Jobs wasn't the smartest or the most talented of his generation, but he was undoubtedly one of the most disciplined. His story isn't just that of a visionary. It's the story of someone who understood that success isn't the result of flashes of inspiration, but of years of relentless execution. Here's the truth most people don't want to accept: discipline is not motivation. It's not emotion or momentary inspiration. It's the ability to act with consistency, regardless of the circumstances. It's making decisions aligned with your vision even when you don't feel like it, even when the path is hard, even when everything seems to go against you. Think of anyone who has achieved something extraordinary. Behind every victory, there are years of invisible effort. An athlete doesn't become a champion on the day of the competition. It happens in the grueling training sessions when no one is watching. A writer doesn't produce a masterpiece in a burst of inspiration. It's created in the quiet nights of steady work. An entrepreneur doesn't build an empire with a brilliant idea. It's built over years of meticulous execution. The problem is, we live in a world where immediate pleasure is the norm. We've been taught to avoid discomfort, to look for shortcuts, to do only what motivates us in the moment, and that makes us weak. It turns us into slaves of our impulses. True freedom isn't doing what you want every moment. It's having enough self-control to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. This is where discipline becomes the dividing line between dreamers and achievers. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they never sustain effort long enough. They start with excitement but quit as soon as the initial thrill fades. They tell themselves it wasn't the right time, that they weren't ready, that life got in the way. But the truth is, they never built the discipline necessary to get through the hard moments. If you rely on motivation, you've lost before you even begin. Motivation is fleeting. If you only work when you feel inspired, you'll be inconsistent, and inconsistency kills progress. Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in history, trained every single day, without exception. Even on Christmas, New Year's, and the days he didn't feel like it. He didn't ask himself if he should train. He just did it. His routine was so ingrained in his identity that it wasn't negotiable. So what would happen if you took that same mindset and applied it to any area of your life? If you committed to writing every day, no matter what, eventually you'd have a book. If you exercise consistently without excuses, your body would change. If you devoted 1 hour a day to learning something new, in a year, you'd be an expert in any discipline. The difference between average people and extraordinary people isn't ability, it's consistency. Here's the key to developing unshakable discipline: reduce friction as much as possible. Discipline isn't about relying on willpower all the time. It's about designing your environment so that the right choice is the easiest one. If you want to read more, leave a book where you can see it all the time. If you want to wake up early, put your alarm far from your bed. If you want to eat healthier, eliminate junk food from your house. Habits aren't built with massive willpower. They're built through small, strategic decisions that make action easier. Another essential principle is the non-zero rule. Don't let a single day go by without doing something, anything, that strengthens your discipline. No matter how small the effort, the important thing is to never break the chain. 1 minute of exercise, 1 page of reading, 1 sentence written, whatever it is, don't let the day go blank. Habits fall apart when we let one exception become the new rule. Missing 1 day isn't the problem. Missing 2 or 3 creates a new habit: doing nothing. The greatest in any field understand this truth. Success isn't about doing extraordinary things occasionally. It's about doing ordinary things with extraordinary consistency. Stephen King writes every day, no matter what. Kobe Bryant showed up at the gym hours before his teammates. Jeff Bezos made thousands of smart decisions before Amazon became a giant. None of them waited to feel ready. They acted. Because discipline isn't a trait you're born with, it's a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens with use. The world is divided between those who believe success is luck and those who know it's structure. The difference is in their results. The question is, which group will you choose? Will you keep waiting for the perfect moment, or will you act even when you don't feel like it? Because life doesn't reward those who wait, it rewards those who execute. And in the end, you're not what you say you'll do. You are what you do, again and again, day after day. That's where the true power of discipline lives. Chapter 4. To be free is to obey yourself. It was 1996. The Olympic Games in Atlanta were reaching their peak, and the women's gymnastics final came down to a single moment. Carrie Strug stood at the edge of the vault runway, preparing for her final attempt. Gold depended on her. Years of training, sacrifice, and discipline had led her to this exact second. She ran with her usual confidence, but upon landing she felt a sharp pain in her ankle. She had injured herself. The U.S. team was inches from victory, but without a successful second attempt, the gold could slip away. Coach Bela Karolyi came close and told her, "You need it. You have to do it." Carrie could barely stand. Her ankle wouldn't hold her. Anyone else might have accepted defeat, but she had something stronger than pain, complete control over her mind. She blocked the fear. She aligned herself for one final attempt, and on one foot, she landed perfectly. She secured the gold medal for her team and became a symbol of mental strength. That moment proved something essential. The difference between those who achieve the impossible and those who stop halfway doesn't lie in physical strength, talent, or luck. It lies in the ability to direct the mind at critical moments. The mind can be your greatest ally or your biggest obstacle. It can push you to break through what seems impossible, or it can fill your head with excuses that keep you stuck in place. How we respond to challenges doesn't depend on reality itself, but on the story we tell ourselves about it. Those who master their minds master their destinies. Those who don't become prisoners of their own thoughts. The problem is that most people don't train their minds. They let them run on autopilot. They grow up absorbing limiting beliefs without ever questioning them. They repeat phrases like, "I'm not good enough," "It's too hard," "I don't have what it takes," and eventually they act accordingly. If every day you fill your mind with doubts, fears, and stories of failure, how can you expect to move forward with confidence? People who achieve extraordinary things have one thing in common. They don't let their minds wander unchecked. They're intentional about what they consume, the stories they tell themselves, and the words they allow to echo inside their heads. If you want to change your life, you first need to change the way you think. Think of someone who wants to run a marathon. It's not enough to strengthen their muscles and improve physical endurance. If they don't train their mind to overcome fatigue, discomfort, and pain, they'll quit halfway. The real battle is never against exhaustion. It's against the thoughts that say, "I can't go on." The difference between those who keep going and those who give up isn't talent or physical ability. It's the skill of speaking to themselves in a way that empowers them instead of weakening them. If you feed your mind with limiting thoughts every day, you're programming your life for failure. But if you choose to train it like you would your body, it can become your most powerful tool. If you want your mind to work for you instead of against you, you need to do 3 things. First, control what you consume. Everything you see, hear, and read shapes your way of thinking. If you spend your days surrounded by negativity, complaints, and anxiety-inducing information, your mind will stay in a constant state of chaos. Great thinkers, athletes, and entrepreneurs know that information is fuel for the mind. They surround themselves with ideas that strengthen them, with conversations that challenge them, and with books that elevate them. They don't allow just anything into their heads. If you want to train your mind, be as selective with your mental input as you are with the food you eat. Second, control your inner dialogue. Every thought you repeat is like a command your brain follows. If you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, Your mind will do everything it can to prove you right. Change the narrative. Instead of thinking, I can't do this, try, I'm learning how to do this. Instead of, I'm not good enough, try, I'm getting better every day. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or feeding yourself empty affirmations. It means giving your mind a new reference point to operate from. Elite athletes don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. They visualize success before it happens. They see themselves reaching their goals over and over again until confidence becomes part of their identity. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build by training your mind daily. Third, act before you feel ready. Most people wait to feel prepared before they take action. They think they need more time, more knowledge, more certainty. But the truth is, no one feels ready in the beginning. A child doesn't wait to feel fully confident before taking their first steps. They just try, fall, get back up, and try again. That's how we learn. That's how we grow confidence. If you wait for fear to vanish, you'll wait forever. You don't need to feel ready to act. You need to act so that you can feel ready. Your mind will focus on what you teach it to focus on. If you constantly dwell on what could go wrong, your past failures, and your weaknesses, that's the reality you'll create. But if you train yourself to see opportunities instead of obstacles, to focus on solutions instead of problems, you'll begin to build a mindset that propels you forward regardless of circumstances. This isn't naive optimism, it's mental strategy. Successful people aren't those who never have negative thoughts. They're the ones who've learned not to give those thoughts more power than they deserve. If you let your mind run without direction, it will become your biggest obstacle. But if you learn to train it, it will take you farther than you ever imagined. It's not magic, it's not luck, it's training. Fear, the greatest saboteur of the mind. If there is one thing that paralyzes more people than any other factor in life, it is fear. It doesn't matter how much talent you have, how much you've learned, or how many opportunities are in front of you. If fear governs your mind, you will remain stuck in the same place. The problem is that most people believe fear is a signal to stop, as if it were an alarm indicating danger or something wrong. But in reality, fear is simply the mind's response to the unknown. Think about anything that once scared you: public speaking, making an important decision, taking on a new challenge. Looking back, you'll realize the fear didn't disappear before you did it. It disappeared after you did it. This follows a simple rule: action destroys fear. Fear grows in inaction. If you spend too much time analyzing risks, your mind will begin generating all kinds of negative scenarios. But if you act, if you take the first step, fear immediately starts to lose its grip. Picture yourself at the edge of a high diving board, about to jump. Your mind tells you it's dangerous, that you could land badly, that maybe this isn't a good idea. But the moment you leap, everything changes. In midair, there's no time to doubt. You're already moving. And when you come up from the water, you realize the fear only ever existed in your mind. That's how it works in every area of life. Fear is a mirage. It feeds on uncertainty, but it fades when you move. People who have built great things in life are not those who never felt fear. They are those who learn to act in spite of it. Most people live in a state of constant reaction. They wake up and the first thing they do is check their phone. They see negative news, reply to messages, scroll through social media, and without realizing it, their mood has already been shaped by external stimuli. They allow their environment to dictate how they feel. If the day starts with a problem, they spiral into stress. If someone says something negative, they dwell in frustration. If something doesn't go their way, they feel defeated. But here's the truth. Life is not about what happens to you. It's about how you choose to respond to what happens. People who master their minds don't have perfect days. They've just learned not to be slaves to their surroundings. Instead of reacting, they decide. They decide how to interpret events. They decide what to focus on. They decide what meaning to assign to every experience. And this is one of the greatest differences between those who achieve greatness and those who remain stuck in mediocrity. If you allow your emotional state to depend on what happens around you, you will never be in control. But if you train your mind to respond with intention, everything starts to shift. The next time something challenging happens in your life, pause for a moment and ask yourself, can I control this, or is it outside my control? How would someone with a strong mindset choose to respond? What action can I take right now to move in the right direction? These questions interrupt the reactive pattern of the mind and allow you to take back control. If you want your mind to be your ally and not your enemy, you need to start building an identity that supports your goals. Many people say, I want to be disciplined. I want to be more confident. I want to stop doubting myself. But the problem is, they continue to see themselves as the same person they've always been. If you keep identifying as someone who struggles with discipline, you'll always find ways to sabotage yourself. If you see yourself as insecure, your mind will find evidence to prove you right. But if you decide to change your identity, your actions will begin to align with this new version of you. Don't say, I'm going to try to be disciplined. Say, I am a disciplined person. Don't say, I'm going to try to be more confident. Say, I am a confident person. Don't say, I want to be someone who faces their fears. Say, I am someone who acts in spite of fear. The language you use to describe yourself is crucial. Your mind is always searching for coherence. If you identify as someone strong, you will act strong. If you identify as someone disciplined, you will act with discipline. Change your identity and you will change your life. Everything we've discussed in this chapter comes down to a single idea. The mind is a tool. It can build or destroy. It can push you forward or hold you back. But you are in control of how you use it. And here's the challenge. Start training your mind now. Eliminate mental noise. Stop flooding yourself with information that adds nothing to your growth. Question every negative thought. Don't accept every story your mind tells you without challenging it. Act before you feel ready. Show your mind that you're capable of moving forward without waiting for the perfect moment. Change how you talk to yourself. Use language that reinforces your ideal identity. Do this every day and you'll start to see your mindset evolve. You'll become stronger, more resilient, more decisive. And the best part is that this change depends on no one else. You don't need the world to be different. You only need to train the one tool that's been with you since the beginning, your own mind. If you master your mind, you master your life. Chapter 5. The Art of Action. Break the paralysis and conquer your goals. A man walks through an endless desert. He has a map in his hand, but he doesn't use it. In his backpack, he carries everything he needs to survive, but he doesn't touch it. Day after day, he sits under the scorching sun and tells himself that tomorrow he will move, that he'll wait for a better moment, that when he has more strength, he'll begin to walk. But the perfect moment never comes, and the only reason he remains trapped in that desert is because he hasn't taken the first step. That's how most people live their lives. They have ideas, dreams, projects that could change everything, but they leave them on pause. They convince themselves that now is not the time, that they need more preparation, more certainty, more confidence. But time keeps moving forward, and the fear of taking action becomes a habit. The paralysis of inaction is the greatest killer of dreams. It doesn't need a dramatic blow to destroy someone's life. It only needs small delays, repeated day after day. I'll start tomorrow. Next week, I'll give it a try. When I have more time. When I have more energy. And just like that, years go by. What separates those who achieve things from those who only imagine them is not intelligence, luck, or resources. It's the ability to act despite fear, to move without having all the answers, to take a step forward even when there's no guarantee of safety. Many people think they need clarity before they can act, that they first need confidence, that everything must be perfectly aligned before they take the first step. But clarity doesn't come before action, it comes after. The path doesn't become clear until you start walking it. Waiting to feel ready is the best way to never begin. Every successful person who's ever changed the world faced uncertainty before taking their first step. No one had guaranteed success at the start. What made them different was that they didn't wait to feel prepared. They simply started. If you have an idea, a dream, a goal, you need to understand something fundamental. You don't need more information. You don't need more preparation. You don't need more certainty. You just need to begin. Inaction is a habit. The more you delay, the harder it becomes to move. Inertia takes over, and when you finally decide to act, it feels like pushing a giant boulder uphill. But action is also a habit, and once you get used to moving, inertia works in your favor. If you've been trapped in the paralysis of indecision, there are 3 strategies that can help you break the cycle. First, make the first step so small you can't say no to it. The reason many people don't start is because they see the goal as an impossible mountain to climb. But no one reaches the summit in a single leap. It's step by step. If you want to write a book, write a single page. If you want to start exercising, do 5 minutes. If you want to learn something new, spend 5 minutes on it today. The trick is to make it so easy, there's no excuse not to do it. Second, stop negotiating with your mind. Every time you delay something, you send your brain the signal that inaction is acceptable. But people who get things done don't ask themselves if they feel like it. They don't wait to be in the mood. They don't look for excuses. They simply act. Make action a default decision, not an optional one. Third, don't measure your progress only by the results. Many people start with enthusiasm but lose motivation when they don't see immediate changes. The problem is that great results take time. If you only measure success by what you achieve, you'll get frustrated and quit too soon. Focus on what you do each day. Instead of obsessing over how far you are from the goal, ask yourself, what action can I take today to move one step closer? The biggest trap people fall into is believing they need to feel motivated to act. But motivation is inconsistent. If you rely on it, you'll never be consistent. Motivation doesn't precede action. Action precedes motivation. When you begin to move, energy appears. When you take action, momentum builds. The hard part is starting, but once you do, continuing becomes easier. If you wait to feel motivated to start, you'll never start. But if you start even when you don't feel like it, motivation will show up later. The key to overcoming inertia is to create systems that push you to act without depending on your mood. One effective technique is the 5-second rule. Every time you feel the temptation to postpone something, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move before your mind can come up with an excuse. This simple trick breaks the pattern of indecision and forces your brain to act before fear or doubt take over. Another strategy is to design an environment that pushes you to act. If you want to read more, leave a book where you can see it. If you want to exercise, lay out your clothes in advance. If you want to focus on a project, eliminate distractions from your workspace. Make the right choice the easiest choice. Inaction often stems from fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of the unknown. But here's an uncomfortable truth. If you don't act out of fear of failure, you've already failed. Because the only real failure is not trying. Fear never disappears completely, but with every action, it weakens. With every step, its power diminishes. With every advance, you realize it wasn't as terrifying as you thought. Many people see success as a single event, a big leap. But success isn't an event. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of small, consistent actions over time. No one becomes a great writer overnight. They write a little every day. No one achieves financial freedom instantly. They save and invest consistently. No one becomes an expert in anything without practice. They commit to learning and improving every day. Progress is the result of consistency, and consistency is only possible when you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start with what you have. The problem isn't that you don't know what you want. It's that you haven't made the decision to act with determination. If you keep waiting for everything to be ideal, for the circumstances to be perfect, for fear to disappear, you'll never begin. The only way to transform your life is to stop thinking about what you're going to do and actually do it. You don't need more time. You don't need more preparation. You don't need more certainty. You just need to start. And when you do, you'll discover that action itself is the key to breaking any barrier. The world does not wait for those who hesitate. It waits for those who dare to move. So make a decision now, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because in the end, the only difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who don't is one thing: who dared to take the first step. The problem with inaction is that the mind gets used to it. The longer you go without moving, the harder it becomes to do so. But action is also a habit. If you decide to move despite doubt, over time, movement becomes your new normal. The difference between those who build an extraordinary life and those who remain stuck in mediocrity lies in how often they act without waiting to feel ready. If you analyze any great achievement, you'll find a common pattern. Someone at some point made a decision. They didn't wait for motivation to show up. They didn't freeze wondering if it was the right moment. They simply started. Look at the story of anyone who's changed their life. Most of them didn't have everything figured out when they began. They didn't know if they'd achieve what they wanted or exactly how they would do it. But they committed to the process, and on the journey, they found the answers. If there's one thing that separates those who transform their destiny from those who merely dream, it's the ability to act even without all the certainties. The mind will always try to convince you that you need more time, more preparation, more certainty. But those are just excuses dressed as logic. The only way to overcome indecision is to ignore the voice that tells you to wait and simply take the first step. It doesn't matter if your goal is big or small. The key is consistent motion. One step after another. Daily progress, even if minimal. Because each action you take reinforces your identity as someone who does, rather than someone who only thinks about doing. It's easy to say, I want to write a book, but the only difference between the person who does it and the one who doesn't is that one sits down and writes. It's easy to say, I want to improve my health, but the difference lies in who actually goes for that walk, makes better food choices, and sticks to the routine. It's not about perfect planning or endlessly visualizing your dreams. It's about making the decision to act now, to eliminate every option except moving forward, to make every day count, even with a small action. If you're waiting for fear to vanish before you act, you're trapped in an illusion. Fear doesn't leave, but with every step you take, its power over you weakens. Every time you face a decision and feel tempted to postpone it, remember this: time will pass anyway. The only question is whether you'll still be standing in the same place at the end of it, or if you'll have moved forward. Many people think success comes from doing great things all at once, but in reality, success is the sum of many small actions that seem insignificant in the moment but, over time, build something extraordinary. What you do today might not feel like a big change, but what you do every day for a year, 5 years, 10 years, that is what will determine who you become and the kind of life you create. Those who build remarkable careers didn't do it with a lucky strike. It was years of learning, small smart choices, and consistency that seemed invisible at first, but eventually elevated them to a level others only dream of. The person who transformed their body didn't do it in a week. It was a process of repeated habits. The person who achieved financial freedom didn't get there through luck. It was the result of wise decisions made again and again. Every major accomplishment is the result of consistency, and consistency only comes when you stop waiting for the ideal moment and commit to daily action. The trap of perfection is another reason why so many never begin. They believe everything must be flawless, that they need a perfect plan, that failure isn't allowed. But imperfect progress will always be better than perfect inaction. You don't have to get it all right the first time. You just have to get started. If something doesn't work, adjust. If you make a mistake, learn from it. But if you don't move at all, nothing changes. The people who leave a mark on the world aren't those who never failed. They're the ones who never let failure stop them. Those who succeed aren't the smartest or the most talented. They're the ones who decide not to quit. And the only way to make sure you don't quit is to commit to daily action, regardless of whether progress is slow, regardless of whether the results aren't immediate, regardless of whether some days are harder than others. The key isn't to do giant things every once in a while. It's to do something, even something small, every day. If you want to change your life, you don't need a one-day revolution. You just need to start. When you look back a year from now, what you'll regret most won't be the mistakes you made trying. It will be everything you didn't do because you froze in hesitation. There are no guarantees of instant success, but there is an absolute guarantee of failure if you never act. Every day is a new chance to move, to grow, to build something better. Time will pass anyway. The difference will be in what you decide to do with it. So stop waiting and make this small and at the same time greatest decision. Move. Chapter 6. Success is always invisible until it becomes inevitable. They say that an old ceramic maker used to teach his apprentices that clay only becomes truly strong after fire. He would take a freshly molded piece and place it in the kiln, slowly increasing the temperature. As the heat rose, the apprentices watched nervously, afraid the piece might crack, but the master smiled with confidence. After hours of intense fire, he would remove the hardened ceramic and lightly tap it with his knuckles. A clean, vibrant sound would resonate through the room. "It is strong now," the master would say, "because it has passed through the fire without breaking." That's how life works. We all go through moments of fire, difficulties that threaten to break us, blows that make us question our strength. But what defines who we are is not the fire itself. It's what we do while it burns. Resilient people aren't those who never face adversity. They're the ones who, when the storm hits, find a way to stay standing, to adapt without losing their essence, to keep going without giving up. Most people believe resilience is something you're born with. They think some people just have inner strength and others don't. But the truth is different. Resilience is a skill, and like any skill, it can be developed. Look at any story of someone who achieved something meaningful. You won't find a single one without failure, obstacles, or moments of doubt. What sets them apart isn't that they never fell, but that they learned to get up again and again. Most people see problems as signs that something is wrong, warnings that they should stop. They ask why things aren't easier, why life keeps testing them. But resilient people ask a different question. How can I grow from this? Every obstacle hides a lesson. Every failure holds valuable information. Resilience begins when we stop resisting adversity and start asking what it's here to teach us. But learning is not enough. Resilience is built in action. It's not enough to understand that fire strengthens the clay. You have to walk through it with the right attitude. This is where many people fail. They think resilience means passively enduring until the storm passes. But true strength isn't found in silently suffering. It's found in moving despite the pain. Imagine you're caught in a river current. If you fight it and resist, you'll only tire yourself out. But if you learn to move with it, to use its force in your favor, you can find a way to reach the shore. That's how hard times work. It's not about fighting them, it's about learning how to navigate through them. Resilient people have one thing in common. When life shakes them, they don't freeze. They look for new ways to move forward. They don't stay stuck in what they've lost. They focus on what they can still build. Life is never about what you lose. It's about what you do with what remains. Think of someone who's faced deep crisis, someone who lost a business, a dream, a relationship, an opportunity. Some never try again. They stay trapped in blame, in sadness, in the past. But others pick up the pieces and build something new. The difference doesn't lie in how much pain they endured. It lies in their decision to keep going. Most people fear failure because they associate it with loss, shame, the end of something. But the most resilient people know that failure isn't the end. It's the beginning of something new. Every time something doesn't go as planned, you have two choices. See it as a sign to give up or as a signal that it's time to explore a new direction. Life won't wait to see if you're ready. It will move forward with or without you. It's up to you to move with it or stay stuck in what was. Some people see pain as a reason to stop. Others use it as a springboard to leap forward. Some mourn what they've lost. Others use what's left to create something greater. Nothing in life is permanent. Everything changes, the good and the bad. The key is learning to move with the changes rather than resist them. Resilience is not just about taking the hit. It's about seeing every impact as an opportunity to grow stronger. It's not just about enduring the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. Bamboo isn't strong because it never faces storms. It's strong because it's learned to bend with the wind instead of breaking against it. So the next time life tests you, remember this. It's not about what you've lost. It's about what you can still do with what you have. Every time life hits you, you have a choice. Let it break you or let it forge you. Resilience is not just a tool for hard times. It's the engine that powers everything worth building. If there's one thing to take away from this chapter, it's this. Fire doesn't destroy the ceramic. It makes it stronger. The only question is, what will you do with the fire life puts in your path? Because in the end, real strength isn't found in avoiding pain. It's found in learning to turn it into power. Those who learn to adapt and grow through adversity all share one thing. They've changed their relationship with pain. Instead of seeing it as punishment, they see it as part of the process. The problem is that many people are conditioned to fear failure, to avoid anything that carries risk, to believe that mistakes are proof they're not good enough. But mistakes don't mean you're not capable. They mean you're learning, evolving, moving forward. Look at the stories of those who've made a mark on the world. All of them faced moments of crisis. But instead of letting those moments define them, they used them to rebuild stronger. The same applies to every area of life. Relationships, goals, dreams. Nothing follows a straight path. Everything requires corrections, falls, restarts, and new directions. This is where resilience becomes the dividing line between those who achieve something meaningful and those who remain trapped in complaint. If you want to develop a resilient mindset, here are 3 powerful keys. First, shift your perspective on problems. Instead of seeing them as walls, see them as part of the journey. Every challenge is a disguised opportunity for growth. The question is not if you will face difficulties. The real question is, what will you do when they arrive? Second, develop a solution-focused mindset. Many people spend far too long focusing on what went wrong, but resilient people shift quickly toward what they can do about it. They don't stay stuck in frustration. They look for answers. Third, strengthen your ability to adapt. Life rarely unfolds according to plan. The most successful people aren't those who insist on one rigid path. They're the ones who can pivot, change direction, and still stay focused on their vision. Resilience doesn't mean you never feel fear, frustration, or pain. It means those feelings don't stop you. It means that even in the middle of the storm, you keep moving forward. Picture yourself in a forest, needing to reach the other side. If the path ahead is blocked, that doesn't mean the journey is over. It just means you need to find another way through. Life is the same. You can't always control the obstacles, but you can always choose whether to stay stuck or to find another way forward. Each person carries within them an infinite capacity to rebuild, to rise after every fall, to transform pain into power. The key is to stop seeing difficulty as an enemy and start seeing it as a teacher. Nothing truly stops you. The only thing that can hold you back is how you interpret what's happening to you. If you choose to see every challenge as a chance to grow, life will stop being a series of problems and become a training ground for inner strength. The problem with procrastination is that we don't see it for what it really is, a denial of life itself. We think we're just putting off a task, postponing something for tomorrow, telling ourselves we'll handle it later. But in truth, we're doing something far more dangerous. We're saying no to our one and only opportunity to fully exist. Life doesn't wait. There's no dress rehearsal before the grand act. What you put off today isn't just a task. It's a piece of your existence that you're choosing not to live. And the issue is, we almost never see it that way. We tell ourselves tomorrow will be the day we finally start working out, start writing the book, start learning something new, start living more deeply. But tomorrow never arrives. How many times have we postponed life while waiting for the perfect moment? We convince ourselves we'll be happy when we have more money, when we find the perfect partner, when we solve all our problems, when we're finally ready. But the perfect moment is a lie. It's a mirage, a cruel game of the mind that keeps us trapped in the illusion that the future will be different, without realizing that the future is nothing more than a reflection of the choices we make now. Every time you procrastinate, you're stealing from yourself the most precious thing you'll ever have: time. Because time can't be stored, recovered, or saved. It can only be lived or lost. Philosophers have spoken for centuries about wasting time as the greatest sin against existence. Seneca warned that people waste life as if they had an endless reserve, not realizing that every second that slips away is forever gone. Schopenhauer said the greatest tragedy isn't death, but the time we let go without ever truly using it. When you procrastinate, you're not just delaying action, you're giving up a piece of your life. You're telling yourself that this moment, this hour, this day isn't worth living fully. So how do we break the cycle? Step 1. Make urgency a habit. Live as if time were finite, because it is. There are no second chances for the present. What you don't do today, you may never do. If you woke up tomorrow and knew you only had 6 months left, would you keep postponing what you really want to do? Would you still get lost in distractions, letting your days slip through your fingers as if they were endless? Living with the awareness of time's finitude doesn't mean obsessing over death. It means honoring life in every moment. It means asking yourself daily, am I truly living or merely existing? Every time you're tempted to put something off, ask yourself, what would I do if I knew I wouldn't have another chance to do this? Procrastination is the mind's excuse to avoid effort. But effort isn't suffering, it's transformation. It's the only door to a life worth living. Learn to move even when you don't feel like it. Don't wait for motivation to appear. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for fear to vanish. Act first. Motivation will follow. The great creators, the ones who change the world, the ones who make history, they're not waiting for the perfect moment. They understand that perfection doesn't exist, and they move anyway. Live as if each day were your last. This isn't a metaphor, it's a fact. At any moment, everything could end. And when that day comes, the only thing that will matter is how you live the time you were given. Ask yourself every day, if today were the last day of my life, would I be doing what I'm doing now? If the answer is no, then change something. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Because life isn't waiting for you to finish planning it. Life is happening right now. And the only thing that truly matters is what you choose to do with this moment. Chapter 7. The art of living is not dying while alive. They say time is a river, and we are its travelers. Yet most never dive into its waters. They live trapped on imaginary shores, one foot anchored in the past and the other trembling over the future. They cling to memories that no longer exist, to wounds that live only in their minds, to dreams that have never breathed the air of reality. They move through life like castaways of their own thoughts, chasing shadows, trying to catch the wind. They run without knowing why, flee without knowing from what, fear without knowing what they fear. Days are spent dreaming of a future that never comes and regretting a past that cannot be changed. And so, life slips through their fingers like sand, because they never learn to inhabit the only place where everything truly happens, the now. It is life itself that makes us believe eternity can fit in a single moment, that an entire lifetime can be summed up in a single breath. And yet, most people live their days as if they were endless, believing there is time for everything, that tomorrow is guaranteed, not just a possibility. But the truth is different. We do not own time. We are merely tenants of its passage. Life does not belong to us. It lends us its days without any promise of renewal. And still, we live as though we will be here forever, postponing happiness, shelving our dreams, piling up plans that never see the light. We've been taught to fear death, but the real terror should be dying without having lived. It's not about the final breath, but all the ones we waste before it comes. How many moments have we let slip away? How many times have we delayed laughter, love, adventure, art? How many times have we woken without gratitude, forgetting that each day is a second chance disguised as routine? Look around. People walk without looking at the sky, without noticing the daily miracle of sunlight filtering through trees, without hearing the song of the world. They are trapped in worries that won't matter in a year, fears that will never come true, invisible prisons built of excuses and delays. Time is a great cosmic joke. It makes us believe we have plenty, and when we finally realize the truth, it's too late. We spend our lives waiting for the perfect moment, when the only real moment is now. Some say happiness is a goal, a destination at the end of the road, but happiness is not a place you reach. It's the way you choose to walk. It's not a prize to be earned. It's a way of inhabiting existence. What would you do if you knew today was your last day on Earth? It's a question people avoid, as if not answering it could somehow delay death. But it's not a question about the end. It's about the beginning, about what it means to be here now, knowing that each moment is a one-time only opportunity. If you knew your time was almost up, if you truly felt it in your bones, would you keep waiting to live? Would you still fear judgment, failure, mistakes? Or would you throw yourself into life without fear, with the urgency of someone who has realized that life does not wait? Nikola Tesla imagined a future no one else could see and created it. Michelangelo looked at a block of marble and saw David inside, waiting to be set free. Beethoven composed without hearing his own notes, and yet his music still echoes in the soul of the world. They didn't wait for life to give them permission. They didn't ask for guarantees. They didn't need certainty. They simply did what they came here to do. And you, what did you come here to do? Maybe you think you don't know, but you feel it. It's in that idea that keeps you up at night, that impulse you've ignored too many times, that inner voice whispering that there's more, that you are meant to go further. Some go through life without leaving a trace, without daring, without ever tasting the flavor of risk. And then there are those who, even if they live briefly, leave so much of themselves in the world that they never really leave at all. It's not about years, it's about intensity. Not about achievements, but authenticity. The great sages, poets, dreamers, they've all reached the same conclusion. Life isn't measured in time, but in experience. Facundo Cabral sang with the certainty that each day is a new chance to be reborn. Borges taught us that we are in love when we realize another person is unique. Galeano reminded us that we are what we do to change what we are. So tell me, what will you do with the time you have left? Because if there's one certainty in this existence, it's that the clock never stops. Life doesn't rewind. Every second you let slip is a second that will never return. Don't wait for life to grant you permission. It never denied it. No one needs an invitation to live fully. No one should wait for the perfect moment that never comes. Life happens now, in the moment you choose to breathe consciously, or let the air pass unnoticed. Every day you delay a dream is a day stolen from your own story. Every time you choose comfort over adventure, routine over passion, safety over purpose, you're silently signing your own resignation from the life you could have lived. Some people spend years planning, structuring, calculating every possible scenario before taking a single step, and when they finally feel ready, life has already moved on without them, because time doesn't ask if you're prepared. It doesn't care if you're scared. It keeps moving, relentlessly, leaving behind those who waited too long. How many times have we said, "I'll do it tomorrow, I'll start soon, someday will be the right time," and without realizing it, those tomorrows pile up like dust on a book that never gets opened. We don't own the future. We only have the present. Tomorrow is a promise no one can guarantee. Yesterday is a river that has already run. Only this moment is real, and what you do with it will define everything that comes after. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for fear to vanish. Don't wait for the world to give you a sign. The only sign you need is the beating of your heart, the certainty that you're still here, that you still have a story to write. Think about all the times doubt stopped you. All the paths you didn't take because you were afraid to fail. All the words left unsaid, the opportunities you let pass, the dreams still locked in a drawer. Now imagine time has run out, that today is your last day on earth. What would you do differently? You would say, "I love you," without hesitation. You would hug with all your strength. You would run toward what you've always wanted without thinking of the consequences. You would laugh louder, dance more freely, speak without fear of being misunderstood. You would do everything you've postponed until now. So tell me, why are you still waiting? Look around. People live as if time were infinite, but it's not. No one knows how many more sunrises they have left, how many more chances they'll get to love, to travel, to create, to do something that truly matters. Vincent van Gogh didn't wait to feel ready before painting. He did it with the intensity of a man who knew eternity could fit in a single brushstroke. Beethoven didn't wait to regain his hearing to compose. He did it with the conviction that his soul spoke louder than his body ever could. History is not written by those who doubt forever. It is written by those who dare to live without guarantees. And you, when will you begin to live the story you truly deserve? There is no moment more perfect to begin than this one. There is no opportunity beyond now. Everything else is an illusion we tell ourselves to justify our inaction. Imagine a painter who spends years staring at a blank canvas, waiting to feel ready, waiting for the world to confirm their talent, to affirm they are enough, to say, the moment is right. And one day, when they finally feel it's time to begin, they realize their hands have lost their steadiness. Their eyes no longer see colors as clearly, and time has taken the spark that once burned brightly inside them. Life is exactly the same. We cannot postpone passion, creativity, love, courage. We cannot wait for permission from a universe that has granted it to us from the very first breath. Every second you spend doubting yourself is a second you could be creating. Every day you let pass without moving toward your dreams is a day you will never get back. And when life ends, when the curtain falls, when the final page of your story is written, how do you want it to read? Will it be the story of someone who lived in fear, who delayed, who let life pass by without daring to take hold of it? Or will it be the story of someone who loved without limits, who fought for what they believed in, who turned each day into a poem, a song, a work of art worth remembering? Think of the great artists, the philosophers, the dreamers who changed the world. They weren't the richest or the most prepared, or the ones who had all the answers before they began. They were the ones who understood that life is action, that fear is an inevitable companion but never a master, that the greatest mistake is not to fail but to never try. There is no glory in waiting, no magic in postponement, no life in someday. You only have this moment. Write the book you dreamed of. Paint the picture your silence sketched. Declare your love. Face the fear. Start over if you must. But don't let life pass you by while you're still waiting for the perfect sign. Because this is the sign. This is your moment. There is no other. Let your life be a poem, a symphony, a masterpiece. Let your story be worth telling, and never again postpone the miracle that is being here now, alive.